Thank you for volunteering to take the witness stand on behalf of atheism.
Well, you're quite welcome. But I must correct you already. I will only be speaking for myself. I understand your confusion, though. I am a man made out of straw after all, and it's only natural that you would assume I am willing to be an atheist straw man.
It's so nice to see this for a change.
My pleasure. But what do you mean by for a change?
What I mean is that atheists never seem to be willing to be forced to defend their beliefs.
That's because in regards to atheism, there are no beliefs to defend. See, that's the thing about atheism. It's a lack of belief, not a belief or a collection of beliefs.
Instead, they demand to always be the prosecutor.
That's because Christians are always saying they're right and everyone else is wrong.
But that's no excuse for never having to defend your own beliefs.
No, I don't prosecute. I question. There is a difference. I don't care what your beliefs are, so long as you do not attempt to coerce, threaten, or force me into adopting those beliefs. If you wish for me to believe your claims, then of course I will have questions about those claims. This isn't prosecution. This is skepticism.
You're trying to avoid having to endure the same treatment you give Christians. Remember who is on the witness stand right now.
All right, fine.
Actually, no. I have told you about my lack of belief already. There is nothing to defend, remember? I feel like I'm talking to a robot here. I don't know how to make this any more clear. There are no beliefs to explain, but if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them. This whole court metaphor is rather odd, though. It's like you want to put me on trial for disagreeing with you. Anyway, ask your questions.
I am not afraid of any question you might ask.
So, you think you're right and everyone else is wrong then?
That is a stupid question. Not everyone else is wrong, just creationists. And I make a point to do my very best to know what I am talking about. After all, I put my opinions out for all to judge. And I'd look pretty stupid acting like I'm smarter than everyone and being wrong at the same time. For me, though, it's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about what is most reasonable to believe, creation or evolution. And right now, seeing you have decided to put me on trial, instead of provide proof of creationism, I must continue believing that the evolutionary process is still the fact that it is. It's not about whether or not I am right or wrong, but more the people providing me the information must show that they are right.
Well, that's not what I meant.
You have to say what you mean, because I can't read your mind.
You never asked an original question. Your first question was, so you think you're right and everyone else is wrong. As far as the blonde is concerned, your own construct didn't even say that they were right. Only pointed out that Christians make that claim. You're not very good at contending with your own straw woman. You got all indignant with your straw woman for correcting your false assumption about what they were saying. You might want to go ahead and retire this video.
I can only respond to what you actually say. So tell me, what did you really mean?
I mean, belief in God is just ridiculous. I am rational, and faith in an invisible man in the sky is for people who are afraid.
You're also hopelessly self-contradictory. First of all, you are not the judge of whose beliefs are ridiculous.
I most certainly am the judge of that. If I'm going to form my own opinions, I will be the one who makes the judgment calls that help to shape those opinions. Should I ask you what I should think? Sorry, but that's just not going to happen. If I say your beliefs are ridiculous, I am simply stating an opinion. You seem to be telling me that I don't have the right to form my own opinions.
I personally find the notion that everything was created by nothing more ridiculous than that it was designed by a designer.
Going by your definition of nothing, I would agree, but seeing your idea of nothing has really nothing to do with any scientific theory that I know of, I find it ridiculous to assume certain supernatural explanations are correct just because we currently lack a natural explanation considering the track record of such thinking. I mean, how often does science have to explain the natural cause of something previously thought to be supernatural before people stop assuming supernatural explanations are correct?
Second, you are not the judge of what is deemed rational. I find it irrational to think things can create themselves, or that things which run down are eternal.
Wait, you tell me I'm not allowed to deem something irrational, but then proceed to deem something irrational. You might want to look up hypocrisy. This video makes it very difficult to respond because, quite frankly, you have yet to ask a meaningful question and spend more time giving rebuttals to a single statement that your straw person made. Why don't you actually ask a meaningful question?
Third, you mock different views by doing what is called burning a straw man and reducing to absurdity or extreme oversimplification.
I do not need to reduce creationism to absurdity. Reality does that. When reality shows we evolved, this makes the biblical creation story incorrect. When people insist that it is still correct in spite of facts that show it is not, this is you reducing your own belief to absurdity. I simply point it out. Me pointing out the flaws of your beliefs is not burning a straw man, which I find completely hypocritical of you, even mentioning considering the content of your video. It is me trying to get you to understand that what you believe to be true is not true because it is contradictory to known fact. Finally, you're the one who makes the claim that God created the earth in 6 days. That sounds like the extreme oversimplification to me, considering science claims the cosmos and the earth took billions of years to come to its present state.
The concept of God cannot be reduced to the level of an imaginary friend.
Why not? To us, that's exactly what it seems to be. You talk to him, pray, interact with him, worship, and place accountability on him. Thank him for perceived blessings. All of these things are what children do when they construct an imaginary friend. And this explanation completely ignores the psychology of the situation, the lonely child in need of emotional support, and the confused adult in need of guidance. What gets me is that you don't see that your guidance is simply you thinking of resolutions or happening upon them. You give credit to a God for your own deeds. Children blame imaginary friends for their misdeeds. The analogy is very accurate in the minds of the observer who does not believe in God.
And fourth, presuming the reason for this faith is fear, is an ad hominem attack.
No, it's not. It's a conclusion based on your spoken reasons why we should believe. The most prominent being that we should believe so we don't go to hell, a fear response. Also, Pascal's wager is still being thrown around as if the speaker thinks it's original to them. And this is also an appeal to fear. So, when you regularly try two different tactics that are appeal to fear fallacies, we naturally conclude that these are your strongest reasons for believing.
You committed numerous fallacies in just one sentence, which itself was a red herring, an attempt to deflect from the fact that you do the very thing you say only Christians do, thinking you're right and everyone else is wrong.
You're just anti-science and try to ram your beliefs down my throat.
I will ignore this except to point out that you're committing strawman fallacy while accusing your straw woman of committing fallacy. I'll also edit out the little bit that follows of you getting indignant with your straw woman.
So tell me, atheist, why you spent day after day on 3 different Christian message boards?
I am not sure what was asked here, but I believe you are asking your atheist straw woman why she spends so much time on Christian message boards. I personally do not do this, but for shits and giggles, let's go ahead and see what you think that reason would be. And it is what you think that reason is, because this is your straw woman answering.
I am only trying to show them the light and cure them of their stupidity, because I care about them.
Don't you see that this is exactly what Christians say, but you whine that they're trying to ram their beliefs down your throat? And you go after them in their own boards. So who is really the aggressor here?
They are always trying to use the courts to push their beliefs on others.
Stop trying to shift the focus from yourself.
Wow, you can't even be intellectually honest with your own straw woman, which made an interesting point. While the straw woman may spend time on message boards being a jerk, some Christians actually do attempt to force their beliefs on others through the courts, and your response to that is a deflection?
You are on the witness stand. Not only are atheists also using the courts to force their views as well, the fact is that you are invading Christian message boards and trying to proselytize.
That is complete nonsense. We are not trying to force our beliefs. We are trying to enforce the law of the land, which dictates you are not allowed to mix your religion with government. This is not shifting the focus. This is explaining in full. If you want us to leave you alone, then keep your beliefs to yourself and out of our lives. Through law, religious imagery on publicly owned property like currency in courthouses and or institutes of public education.
I am not. Only Christians proselytize.
Yes, you are. The word proselytize doesn't change meaning depending on who does it.
No, but while you are attempting to fool people into believing unfounded claims, I am simply trying to get them to think more critically about those unfounded claims, and in fact everyone's claims, even my own. And again, I don't go to Christian message boards, I make videos. The message boards might be a favorite pastime for trolls, but I am far from a troll.
That is the fallacy called special pleading. Now another question for you. It is considered a mental illness to be obsessed with something you know is not real. Yet that's exactly what you are doing. By spending every day in Christian boards and talking about God, you show obsession with that which you believe is imaginary.
I'll pretend for the sake of argument that this was addressed at my videos. First, this is not an obsession with what I think is imaginary, because I refute the supernatural claims of people who are very real. Also, this is you committing that same oversimplification you accuse your straw woman of doing. I see your God as imaginary, yes, but the threat your belief poses is also very real. It manifests in oppression of homosexuals and women. It manifests in attempts to inject its creation beliefs into science classes as if it is a science, which it clearly is not because it has not been put through the scientific process. It manifests itself by making claims of religious persecution to escape having to obey laws that should apply to everyone. It manifests itself by manipulating those who believe its claims into thinking against their better interests. For example, the Hobby Lobby situation has religious people thinking it is a big win for them, when in reality it is a win for insurance companies who simply have to claim religious beliefs to escape having to cover birth control that is sometimes prescribed for medically necessary reasons. But you know what health coverage program can't do this? The health coverage provided by the government. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, which covers preventative care at no cost to the patient, because it is not allowed to respect an establishment of religion. Tell me again, who funds the government programs? Oh, that's right. The people celebrating Hobby Lobbies and the insurance companies win. Fucking morons.
What can you say in your defense?
I am not obsessed. I'm just dedicated.
There you go with the special pleading again. Can't you say anything without faulty logic?
As an atheist, I am the logical one.
As an atheist, you are contradicting yourself, and once again, the word logical does not change meaning depending on who uses it.
More shit I can ignore because you're simply arguing with yourself here. This straw woman does not represent all atheists and certainly does not represent the answers I would give.
But atheism is a neutral belief, so it must be logical and unbiased.
Atheism is definitely not neutral. Neutral would mean you don't know whether or not there is a God, and you certainly wouldn't care whether other people believe there is.
I do not know whether or not there is a God out there, but I don't believe there is one based on the description you attribute to your God. In fact, I know your God does not exist because you give him credit for creation of human beings and animals as they are now, which is completely false. So, if you are incorrect on what your God did, then your whole description of him, including his existence, is something that cannot be trusted to be true.
The fact that you proselytize proves that it is not neutral at all.
Atheism means not believing in a God. It's non-belief.
You ignore the fact that it means much more than disbelief, but the active belief that God does not exist.
You ignore the fact that if someone self-identifies as an atheist and also says they simply do not believe, whatever definition you wish to apply to it is irrelevant. They have told you what their beliefs are, and arguing against them as you define it instead of what the person has stated is logical fallacy.
You aren't saying merely that you don't believe in God, but that no God exists. In other words, atheism as you define it would actually make the charge of mental illness even stronger, since you fight to defend disbelief.
Wow, I think it is rather ironic that you mention mental illness considering this whole video is you arguing with yourself. So the atheism you are arguing against is atheism as you define it.
Who else defines themselves by what they don't believe?
I don't think anyone defines themselves by what they don't believe. Atheism is not a definition of self, but skepticism toward God claims. If all you are a Christian, and that is your self-definition, then that is truly sad. I am more than an atheist YouTuber. I am a brother and a son. I am a college graduate. I am a human being capable of the full spectrum of human emotion. My atheism is really a very small part of who I am. It just so happens to be an important part of what I do on YouTube, which is attempt to remedy the ignorance and propaganda about atheists, among other things. Just a side note, I will edit out some of what follows because it is more of you arguing with your straw woman based on her responses.
In fact, atheism has been an excuse for many negative and harmful things since there is no higher authority.
You know, if you're going to throw around accusations of logical fallacy, you might want to avoid their use. That is ad hominem, a hasty generalization, appeal to authority, and misleading vividness all in one.
And remember, trying to point to the faults of Christians would be another case of deflection, since it is atheism on the witness stand.
You place me on the stand to explain my beliefs. Saying atheism is a lack of belief, I must explain that lack of belief in detail, which includes describing religion as I see it. Attempting to silence a response is your attempt at deflection, as you are most likely aware that those who do have a problem with religion, such as myself, cannot describe those opinions without expressing them.
But you Christians, I'm not.
Exactly. You're not used to having to defend yourself. You're also not used to living up to your own standards.
What do you mean? I'm not living up to my own standards?
You pelt Christians with an endless barrage of questions, some of which are absurdities like, can God make a rock so big he can't lift it?
I'm sorry, I didn't know that we were supposed to just accept your claims. It doesn't work that way. We challenge all claims in this fashion, and just because religion cannot stand up to the scrutiny does not mean that we are being unfair. What is unfair is to ask for special treatment simply because they are your beliefs. Also, you not understanding the point behind such questions, which is to challenge your descriptions of God, does not make them absurd.
And if the Christians can't answer every single question, you say their belief is disproved.
No, I say that I see no reason to believe the Christians' claims.
Yet you yourself cannot answer every question put to you, but you don't think this invalidates your belief that no God exists.
Your questions are nonsensical when you place rules upon my answers. This is called intellectual dishonesty. If you really want to know why we believe or disbelieve anything, you should say, why do you believe or disbelieve that? And then shut the fuck up and let us answer without your deflective rules on how we can answer. We do not place rules upon how you answer. We let you say what you want to say, and then show your answers to be either fallacious, contradictory, and or unfounded, showing that you have not provided acceptable answers, so we remain unconvinced.
You even say that time will prove you right. Yet if Christians say this, you laugh and call them irrational. It's a blatant double standard.
I've never said that, but I understand why an atheist would. Because in time, once science makes certain advances in knowledge and technology that we currently lack, the God claims will become increasingly falsifiable through the discovery of more and more that show the claims made within religious texts are false. You mean that after we die, we'll see, which is why I would laugh, because I don't believe in life after death. So saying we'll see after death is absurd to me. I'll see nothing because I'll be dead.
Finish him!
You construct a straw woman to contend with and provide carefully crafted answers to nonsensical questions and rules as to how your straw woman can answer your nonsensical questions. If you are interested in an interaction with an actual atheist, I invite you to create a response video to this response. But please do so without using that terrible software. I'd rather read text than listen to that crap. Until then, I suggest you consider the things I have said, and do not discount them because they do not fit this preconceived idea you have of what an atheist and atheism is. Do not mince words or come with definitions contradictory to what I have said. Contend with what I say, not with how you define what I am. Do not throw around accusations of fallacy and expect to get away with using them yourself, but most of all, come with an open mind. Understand that I used to be a Christian. I know what it is Christians believe, and in fact I would wager that I know the Christian Bible better than most Christians. This is not a challenge, and those are not rules. This is an invitation to have a real atheist on the stand, and suggestions on how you should approach it should you hope to not make a fool of yourself.